How are we doing, guys? We are back again with the big match preview. I'm joined by Phil Miles. How are you doing, mate? How are you doing?
I'm all good, thank you, Oscar. How are you doing, pal?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing fantastically well. And Lucy Chappell, of course, joins us again from the fantastic Leeds United latest show on All Leeds TV. Make sure you check that out, guys, if you haven't done already. How are you doing, Lucy?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. I'm just not very happy Rhiannon's abandoned me this week. So.
And Chris Kelly, of course, joins us yet again. How are you doing, my man?
Bank holiday weekend, innit? I'm good, mate. Work laptop closed.
It's not bad at all, is it? It's not bad at all. But yeah, we'll get into it then, guys. We'll get into it. Leeds playing on Bank Holiday weekend. Smash that like button, guys, if you haven't done already. It massively helps us. And the subscribe button as well, guys. But yeah, Brighton away. Phil, so we're talking to obviously a Brighton fan yesterday on our opposition preview. And they've not really taken too much. Well, a bit of an exaggeration. They've not been as impressed by Ben White as what we were last season. I mean,
fine.
Do you miss Ben White? It's probably the best way of starting that question. Do you miss Ben White?
I think it's really hard to say you miss Ben White considering how the season's gone for us and how it's gone for them. But at the same time, there's always going to be a nostalgia that you enjoy thinking back to what he did last season and thinking back to the performances that we saw. And I think everyone's probably seen the quotes from Patrick Bamford yesterday where he was saying if Ben White was still at Leeds, he'd be in the England squad. And I'd be inclined to agree. I think Ben White would have been fantastic if he would have stayed, and we probably wouldn't be talking about Diego Llorente right now. But at the same time, Diego Llorente's got that place now. Robin Koch's there as well. I think we've done really well to replace him. And with the money that we spent and the money that they were asking for him, we got two bargains when you think about it. So in a nutshell, do I miss Ben White? Yes and no.
Okay. That's kind of the same way I'm looking at it, really. I think, I'll be honest, in the summer, when obviously the Ben White prices were mentioned, such as 25, 30 million, I'd have gone with that. I'd have probably gone for that, 25, 30 mil. When it was getting up to 40, I thought, this is only going one way. It's going up and up and up. But Chris, I mean, we've hardly missed him, have we, in terms of on the pitch? I think certainly since the start of the new year, our defensive record has been pretty exemplary.
Yeah, I don't think we miss him, mate. I think we're all attached to him in one way or another. He was part of that squad that took us up, and he was superb for us. And to be fair, if Brighton fans don't think as much of him, it's probably because he's a better player under a Bielsa than he is under their manager. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'd put that down to. But I'm very much the same opinion as everyone else. Yes, I miss him because he was superb. What a footballer. I mean, for me, he probably should be in and around the England squad now. But with the players we brought in, for less combined, I think, Koch and Llorente, than we'd have had to pay for Ben White, then I think we've got the better half of the bargain for me.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. You look at what we spent the money on, as Phil mentioned as well. That's the way I look at it and say it's not that much of an opportunity lost, because what would you rather, Ben White or Diego Llorente and Robin Koch?
You got to think about as well from their point of view, the connection that they may have with him. As daft as it might seem to think, he actually has played 13 more games for Leeds United than he has for Brighton yet. So there's still time for them to fall in love with him the way we did.
I don't think a Brighton fan going back probably a year or two ago would have recognised Ben White if they tripped over him, to be honest.
Do you think he'll be there long enough, Phil, for them to fall in love with him?
I hope for his sake, no, because he deserves better, to be honest. He's got the game time that he needed this season, but
played every game.
Yeah.
Bar the last one with suspension. Started every single game.
If he was at Leeds, mate, he'd be in the top half, and that's it. They didn't want to sell to a rival club. Well, we're not a rival club, and look how stupid you look now. You may as well have taken our money. So I think they've held him back, to be honest, and I feel sorry for him. So if he gets a move to a bigger club, I hear Dortmund have moved in again today. There's loads of teams that are after him. So if he goes to a bigger club, happy for him.
I'd love him to go with Dortmund. I'd love him to go with Dortmund.
I'm jealous if he goes to Dortmund.
Yeah, me too. I love Dortmund. They're just mental. I like their fans because they're a lot like the Leeds fans. They're a bit mental, aren't they? So
we all know it's not going to be us now, though. We know that it's not happening.
Well, I think Tom, absolute legend, by the way, Tom Hudson, who personally recommended these headphones, by the way, as I mentioned off air. And very, very good recommendation. But he is joining us on Before the Whistle Blows later on as well. Second appearance for Tom Hudson, the City fan from Yorkshire, legend of a man. And yeah, I think that's spot on. I think I'd have to agree with that, Lucy. I think Llorente, last couple of weeks, he's been a bit good, hasn't he?
Oh, it's been outstanding, hasn't it? Like, going back to the Ben White situation, I think, well, I'm going to be honest, I'd cry a little bit knowing that he weren't coming back, because I just thought it was brilliant for us last season. And like at the start of the season when we're letting in so many goals, I'm thinking, oh, would we do that if Ben was in the team? But you've just got to look at Llorente and how outstanding he's been these last 6, 7 or 8 or so games. He's just been absolutely outstanding and just a class above, 100%. Yeah.
I guess the other point is, obviously, I think Llorente, his position is pretty solidly in this team now. I mean, the debatable point now is with Robin Koch back in from his injury. Do you see any case, Phil, for it being Robin Koch, Llorente? Personally, I'd stick with Strauch and Llorente just for the time being, with Strauch being left-footed. I think that's the only real reason I'd go for that. But it's definitely close, I think, between the two.
I don't think it is, if I'm all...
Really?
I've said the whole way through, it's two left-footed... You've got Liam Cooper and Pascal Struijk that will fight it out for the left-sided centre-back role when Cooper's suspended or when he's injured, which will happen 10 games a season. Struijk's going to get game time. And then when it's the right-sided centre-back, I think Koch and Llorente compete with each other. When one's out, the other one takes over. And when they're both fit, it's whoever's been in that position the longest. It's going to be really hard for the other to kick the other one out. So Llorente, for me, now has put together a run of form where you could argue he's been our most impressive centre-back. And I know we've had moments on this show where we've spoken about the statistics behind Liam Cooper's season, but just on the surface of what we've watched from Llorente now, I was reserved at first. I'm happy to say, on the surface, I thought maybe the Liverpool game, he wasn't fantastic despite scoring the goal, but every other game for the last, I think he's played 8 or 9 in a row now, I think he's been fantastic. And he offers us something really different to Robin Koch, in my opinion. So I think if Robin Koch gets back in, he's going to have to do something really impressive to be able to show us that he deserves to be there ahead of Llorente at this moment in time.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, Chris, it's unthinkable, isn't it, really? I guess 2 months ago, that we'd be saying Llorente would come in after all those injuries he had early on, play every single game, be man of the match or a man of the match contender in most of them. And now it looks like he's got that. He's completely took over from Robin Koch now. I mean, it's pretty crazy, isn't it, how quickly things have turned around for Llorente?
Oh, mate, don't get me wrong. Like, with the first couple of injuries, I was firmly on the, oh my God, he's made a biscuits bandwagon. What have we wasted all this money on? But no, since he's got fit, and I think it shows a lot that normally with Bielsa, if someone gets fit, unless it's a Coops, who he tends to throw pretty much straight back in, the only other players he'd do it with probably Bamford and Phillips. The others he might give another game. Whereas Llorente as well, as soon as he was fit again, and I think other injuries forced the hand a little bit, but he was straight back in. And I think Bielsa thinks an awful lot of him. I think he's wanted him previously to managing Leeds as well. And around the whole Koch, Llorente, Pascal debate, the heart says I'd love to see Koch and Llorente play together. The head says it's going to be Pascal and or Coops with Llorente or Koch. For all the reasons that Phil stated, we know Bielsa likes a left foot and a right foot in there. And there's really an argument for Pascal coming out.
Symmetry.
Go on, mate.
I think he's just a bit OCD about symmetry. He just loves it so much.
Probably, mate. I think I would imagine he writes under a ruler and stuff like that. You know?
So the perfect.
I just think his head does wobble. If we had 2 right footers at centre back, his head would fall off or something.
No, it's fair. I can't think of any time other than when Perret and Pontus played together a couple of times in that first season. I can't think of any real time where it has been 2 right footers at centre back by choice. I mean, I think it could. I don't think it's something he's going to try necessarily, but I think it could work. You know, there's no reason why a right footer can't play on that left side. You know, you see with City,
Llorente's got a left peg on him.
Yeah, so exactly.
Stick him on the left.
If Llorente told us all now his favourite foot was his left foot, I don't think any of us would be massively shocked, would we? I think he's so happy on that foot as well. But But yeah, no, it's a good point, guys. It's a good point. But Lucy, obviously, another player who is back in contention now is Rodrigo Moreno. Do you see any case to start him in this game, or at the very least have him on the bench to come on?
Not start, I don't think. I think I'd have him on the bench if he. I think I've seen that he's not 100% fit to start, and I don't think I would start him. I like he's going to take a bit of. He's not going to be fit. He's not played for a while, has he? He's going to need a bit of getting back into match day experience and stuff. But no, I can't see him starting, to be honest. I'd like to see him come on last 20 minutes or so if we need him. But yeah, definitely, I can't see him starting tomorrow.
I agree. I think you look at it and say Rodrigo, obviously before the injury, wasn't in fantastic form, to be fair. I think it's going to be better. I prefer it personally, Rodrigo as an option off the bench, because I was looking at that bench on Sunday against them, and I was thinking, who's going to come on in this game and get us that 1-0 win? If we're going to nick it at the other end. And really, all the changes we made, other than Poveda for Costa, it was kind of Click came on, Cock came on. There were quite defensive changes in that sense. They made an impact, don't get me wrong, because we kept the clean sheet, but there wasn't any real game changes on that pitch for me. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Phil and Chris. I mean, I'm 100% with Lucy there. I think Rodrigo off the bench, I think just psychologically, when the players are looking around and thinking they've got someone like that to come on to the game.
This might surprise you, and because I still claim he lacks some consistency, but Tyler's actually done nothing wrong to justify being dropped at the minute in that, and he's not going to drop Dallas from there just because of how good he's been. And I can't sit here, even as someone who says we need to get him out on loan or whatever else in the past, I can't sit here and justify dropping Tyler at the minute. So no, for me, he sits on the bench and he comes on if we need him. I completely agree.
I think Tyler's a more effective presser as well, which will be the reason that Tyler starts, to be honest. I think in comparison to when we played them earlier in the season, I thought that was arguably our worst run of the season, which statistically, obviously, it was. It's the only time we've lost 3 on the bounce. We lost to Crawley in that spell. And if you actually look at the team that started that game in comparison to the team that's starting tomorrow, I mean, Bielsa could play a blinder and just completely catch me off guard, and I'd still be like, well, I feel more confident than I did last time. We had Kiko in net last time. I mean, Kiko didn't make a mistake. It's one of the only bloody times he hasn't. But
I thought it was embarrassing for Brighton that they only scored 1.
I know.
With Kiko in there. Considering Crawley put 3 passes the week before.
Yeah. Dallas was at right back, which we all know when Ayling's not at right back, that's not where we want everyone to be. Dallas has found a home in centre mid since then. So having Dallas there, I think, makes a massive difference. The last game, Ben White, for me, was man of the match. He just charged through our midfield as if no one was there. Calvin Phillips wasn't playing. Strike was in his position. We had Cooper and Ayling as the centre-backs. Alioski at left-back was horrendous on that day. The whole thing was just a shambles. The entire game. I think that was one of the games of this season where I was most disappointed because I thought they were a team. They called us a rival. I thought, they're our level. We should really be doing better than that against them. I don't mind losing to Tottenham a week before or a week after, whatever it was, but I thought a point at home to Brighton at Ellen Road would have been at least what I expected. Losing to them at home, especially in the manner that we did as well. They let us have the ball, but they didn't let us create anything. And I don't think we were walked all over. They created one good chance in the game. They scored it, but Ben White just may as well have got a big boat and just sailed through our midfield the whole game. It was depressing to watch. So I think our team tomorrow, no matter what he puts out, is bound to be stronger than that. We've got Illan Meslier in net, which automatically fills me with more confidence. No offense, Kiko, but we're all going to say that. Ayling is going to be.
Kiko would say that himself, I
hope. But yeah, Ayling at right back fills us all with more confidence. As much as I love Cooper, and as I think the centre back partnership we've got at the moment, compared
just one thing, Phil. One thing is about Brighton is they are one of the very few teams at this level who do from time to time play a two up top. I was doing a bit of research on Brighton.
3-4-3.
They are predicted to go with Morpay and Welbeck up top with Trossard just in behind. I mean, do you think with that being the case, that's kind of how the setup against Sheffield United. Do you think there's a possibility Bielsa might well go for back three tomorrow?
When you look at when we played them the first time, they played the 3-4-3, and we've already said on this show a couple of times that is a formation we've struggled against the most this season. So, I mean, Solskjaer at the weekend had an opportunity to go, right, this is what I did against you in the first leg. We smashed you 6-2. I'm just going to do the same thing again. And he did that. They got a 0-0. So I think we have improved vastly since we played Brighton. We were on terrible form then. We're on very good form now. The formation for
not one for 2 games though.
But we're unbeaten in 6 again.
I'm messing. I'm playing.
I just think when you look at what they did last time, I think Graham Potter's going to look at that and think, right, everybody else has tried to do different things against Leeds. I'm just going to stick to what I know works. And then I think that helps us in the long run, because I think we're a far better team, no matter what we put out tomorrow compared to what we put out in the first game. So even if he does change it up, I'm still fairly confident that the run of form we're on, we've got no reason to not be taking at least a point from that game tomorrow. Ideally 3.
I think don't be surprised early doors tomorrow if Ben White comes charging out of defence that Calvin Phillips sticks one straight on him.
Oh, it needed, required.
Yes.
Best mates, KP will go straight through him early doors and put him on his arse.
That's the thing. If KP was in that first game,
we don't lose that game.
No.
There's not a chance we lose that game. We didn't really have a leader at the back in that game. It was Ayling pass. Was it Ayling and Coops? Well, no, sorry. Did Coops play that game?
Yeah, Ayling and Coops.
All right, Coops played, but we had one recognised centre back in the team. Yeah. Pascal was playing CDM. We just don't lose that game in that situation for me. No. I just don't see it at all. However, tomorrow, without Raphinha in the team, Lucy, I'm worried in terms of the creativity side of things. How are we going to break Brighton down when we are on the ball? I mean, does that concern you a little bit in terms of where the sources of creativity are in this team without Raphinha?
Yeah, definitely. I think we saw it against Man United, didn't we? We just lacked that bit of creativity to get a goal, and it is a real shame. I was hoping he was going to be back last week, but God knows when he's going to be back at this rate. So, I am quite worried, but I think compared to the team that we put out last time, I think even without Raphinha, I think it's going to be a completely different game. So hopefully he'll be back soon. I think we definitely need him. Yeah.
I heard a rumour he went to a lock-in at the 3 legs and he's just not been let out yet. That's one rumour I've heard. But, I mean, I look at it, Phil. I definitely agree with Lucy. Definitely agree that the only thing was missing from that Man United game was that creativity. We didn't create a lot in the game. Do you think if Raphinha had been on the pitch last week, we'd have maybe nicked that 1-0?
I don't know, because if Raphinha's on the pitch and we can create more, maybe we don't defend the same way and we end up going on and losing the game, to be honest. So
Raf works hard defensively, though.
You can look at it either way, but I think we should be happy. We've got at least a point out of them. That's fine. The unbeaten run continues. I think against a team like Brighton, it makes a lot more of a difference having a player like Raphinha on the pitch, but I don't expect him to be there tomorrow. Whereas against Man United, in the way that we played against them, I don't think it makes a great deal of difference because we didn't create a great deal. Do I think he would have created that much more? I'm not sure he would, to be honest, in that game. I think him and Pablo both have that aspect about them. Pablo a lot more last season than this season, where they can create something from nothing. They can nutmeg a mermaid and just put a ball into somewhere we didn't expect it going. But I just think they did a good job of nullifying us, Man United. It depresses me to say so, but that forced us to nullify them. So I think we got what we needed out of that game in a way. I
agree with that. I think what I noticed the last 2 games without Raphinha is all our creativity has come from the middle of the pitch. It's actually mainly been the likes of Llorente or Calvin almost playing raking passes over the top into Paddy Bamford. I think a couple of times that happened against Liverpool. A few times we'd have nice little combinations out wide and then picked out Harrison one-on-one against Alisson, picked out Tyler one-on-one against Alisson and missed those chances. But, I mean, Chris, there's a case, I think, for Poveda to start over Costa tomorrow. I do genuinely think. I know maybe defence.
I thought they killed him.
Who? Sorry.
I thought Wan-Bissaka killed him. Is he alive?
Well, I don't know. That's a good point, actually. Nothing's really been made about that in terms of whether he's in. Let me have a quick little look, actually, whilst. But say Costa is available, Chris. Who would you start on that right-hand side, Poveda or Costa?
It's a really tough question for me, mate, because I do. Poveda, the last couple of times he's come on, at least he's looked tricky and like he wants to create something and give us that out ball. And this is probably going to surprise people again. I'd stick with Costa. I just would. I don't know if he's just. At least we know what we're getting with him. It might not be very good sometimes, but we know we're getting that. And I don't know, mate. I think what we do need tomorrow is a big game from whoever the two wide men are up top. We need better games from them. Yeah. So Jack and Helder or Poveda, we need better games from them, because it's noticeable that going forward, when those two aren't on song or Rafa's not in the team, Paddy becomes really isolated. He doesn't get the chances. He still works as hard and does everything else that we know Paddy does, but he's not getting the chances. Jack and Costa, who I think it will be, I've not heard that he's injured or out.
Well, he is down as being fit, Costa. It's 75% chance on my fantasy football game anyway that he's going to play in this.
That means everything.
The reliable sources, mate. There's a big demand on it. If it's not reliable, you put players in. They get a lot of stick, and rightly so. But interestingly, though, our predicted 11 tomorrow, they are predicting we go. Well, I'll read it out to you guys. This is the team they're predicting we go with from what Bielsa said in the press conference, what we've done in the past against teams with two up top. They're predicting Meslier in goal, Ayling, Llorente, Pascal as a back three, Stuart Dallas going over to right wing back, Alioski to left wing back, Calvin, Robertson midfield, Costa, Bamford, Harrison up top. So they're predicting a switch from Leeds tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying what they're predicting.
I think on the Dallas thing, I think he'd rather move Roberts out to the right hand side and keep Stewie in the middle. I think Stewie is almost the first name on the team sheet now. In that midfield.
You're not putting Stuart Dallas at right wing, whatever you call it. He's not going there. I can tell you that now. If you're gonna,
right wing back, I didn't call it that much of a hipster day.
Whatever you're gonna call it, if you are playing with a right wing back, you're gonna put Luke Ayling there and play three recognised central defenders because you've got Robin Koch on the bench, or you can put Calvin there if needs be. But Stuart Dallas is too important now in the midfield, and I think if you're gonna have a midfield two, it's gonna be Dallas and either Calvin, depending on where Calvin plays, or Roberts. Depends. It really depends on which way it goes. But I can't see Leeds playing a 3-4-3 against this team. I really can't. If they do go two up front, I still think we'd just go 4-4-1-1 in a way.
It's interesting. It is interesting. I think it is going to be see how Bielsa approaches it. Yeah. But I think the reason is obviously we go from when it's two up top, we go with three centre backs. It's the man-to-man marking. He always wants to have that extra centre back over just to cover. A late runner into the box. That's what I think is the main reason for it, certainly from what we've seen this season. So it will be interesting how much Bielsa rates this Brighton team by seeing how he sets it up. But Phillips and Roberts in midfield, that seems a bit open to me in terms of that seems like Calvin doing a lot of the work behind Roberts, is pressing. Seems a bit too open, that for my liking, to be honest. Yeah. So I was prepared to see Dallas in there if we are going to go for two. Robin Koch coming in for...
Who's even bothered trying to predict a Bielsa lineup? Where are you looking at this?
I'll have you know, this is Fantasy Football Scouts. It's not let me down all season, mate. Season.
They know what Bielsa's going to do they?
I don't think Marcelo knows that, does he?
Nobody knows.
Stop trying to have a go at people trying to guess the team. Very handy information, that, Phil.
Meanwhile, I'm unemployed over here. Come on, let's get me on.
Well, that's you not getting the job off them anyway. That was a good opening that for you, and you might have
applied and everything. They turned me down for some geezer that thinks we're going to play 3-4-3, and then we'll see tomorrow night who's more cocky than shall we?
I tell you what, I'm getting them heat maps out. If we're saying, look, Phil, there's Stuart Dallas at right back. And
To change the subject, can I flash up a bit of an image tomorrow night of Chris Kelly in January talking about Tyler Roberts and Helder Costa, and then replay the last 10 minutes? And I'm just getting myself out of shit there, to be honest.
Well, anyway, let's talk a little bit about Brighton. When I look at that Brighton team, I think obviously it lacks goals at the minute. It's not. That's been their main problem this season, is taking chances. Defensively, they're very solid in terms of probably as solid as us in terms of Duncan White. Have formed quite a good partnership at the back. Webster and Sanchez in goal, obviously being very impressive. It's something obviously you've mentioned before. Is Robert Sanchez, Phil, as being a potential player for us in the future. But for me, the threat in this Brighton team is, well, two threats. Bazuma in the middle of the park, up against Calvin. That'll be a really interesting battle. And Trossard. I like Trossard quite a lot. I mean, Phil, what do you think to Bazuma and Trossard?
I think we had a similar conversation when we played Fulham. I see Bazuma and Andre Frank Zambo and Gisa as quite similar. And
I think Bazuma's better though for me.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're both quite similar players, and I think they're a similar level. To be honest, I think Calvin handled that one. I expect Calvin to handle Bazuma absolutely fine. I think the problem for us is going to be players like Trossard and where Trossard pins himself. As much as I've seen an improvement in him recently, and the missus is sat in the room with me, so I know she's going to be giving me daggers, so I'm not going to look that way. But I think that the weak link tomorrow could be Alioski, and if Trossard pins himself on Alioski, the problem that we had last time was that we had obviously Pascal Struijk. He isn't Calvin Phillips, but they just sort of created a pentagon around him. He couldn't dribble anywhere, he couldn't pass anywhere, and Calvin is quite press resistant. But if you're Graham Potter tonight, you're thinking, right, Calvin's back. Who is the least press resistant player on Leeds United's team? Bang, go for him. And they're going to press us high. They're going to press us just the same way as we do. That they are good at that, but they're a bit like us last season in that they just don't take chances. So I think I'd be worried about Trossard, not so much about Anguissa. I mean, the Bazuma, same thing.
Bazuma's better than Anguissa. I still think that. I still think he's a much better player. Similar. I think he's a lot more intense than Anguissa in terms of crunching into tackles. He can play different roles. I think Bazuma's going to go quite far in his career. I think you can possibly see a top 6 team maybe having a little look at him in the summer. There's been rumours of that. And I'd like that, to be fair, because it means they're not looking at Calvin. So, from my point of view, I'm quite happy at that. But what I would say, I definitely agree with you, Phil. I think the dynamics of the game are very, very similar. I think both teams going forward, their forwards are a little bit out of form at the minute. I'd say obviously Bamford and Harrison are probably both at the same time having their quieter spell of the season. I wouldn't say they've been playing poorly. They're still doing the basics of their roles really well. But just maybe in front of goal, they've been a little bit, what's the word for it? Just been a little bit off it in front of goal, I think, last couple of games. I mean, what do you think, Chris? I can possibly see this being... I said yesterday I can see it being high scoring, but I can just see a game where there's chances both ends, but I can see it being like a 1-0 either way, to be honest.
I'll leave my prediction to the end, but I think we'll see more goals than that. And
okay,
there is elements of danger in that Brighton team, but the one player I don't want to score is Maupay. I can't stand him.
Oh, don't get me started on him.
He
don't get me started on him.
The bloke makes my skin itch, and and he always has done. He just riles me up. So if he scores tomorrow, mate, that'll be fun on the watch along. Believe me, because I'll have to mute really quickly.
Well, both of us will. They'll just be silent.
Just angry faces.
I called him when he was in the Championship the Diego Costa of the Championship.
Yeah. That's fair, mate. That's really fair. In fact, that's a really good description of him. I know Joe said, I think last week or whatever, that he's like the Alioski of their team. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, then you can't abide him. But I don't think I'd even like him if he played for Leeds, mate. I'm not going to lie. He's just... But there is danger there. But Bissouma, for me, I agree, is their best player. I think Vic just said that she's heard that Lallana's out tomorrow, so...
what a surprise! Adam Lallana injured.
Shocking. Bissouma's their best player for me, but we've got him. We've got him in the bag tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
I mean, yeah, Morpay, I didn't even mention him. I mean,
I don't know. He just.
There's a bit like Mitrovic for me. There's something about him. I just
you know what he is,
I just
mate?
Can't.
Is this generation's El Hadj Diouf?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, when we signed El Hadj Diouf, that was me considering like ripping the season ticket up, to be honest. But
I was on my way to support Harrogate Town.
You must have loved him in the end, surely.
No. I never liked.
No.
I loved him by the time he left.
No.
Like Warnock, I hated Warnock before we got Warnock, but as soon as he was our manager, I was like, yeah, I find him funny now.
No, I always hated Colin as well.
What? Neil Warnock?
Yeah.
Neil Warnock, who almost single-handedly destroyed the club by getting rid of Becchio to sign Steve Morrison.
I find him funny now. I didn't find him funny before he came to Leeds, but now I find him funny.
I don't know about that one, Phil.
I don't want him back. I just find him funny.
Sounds like you do. You say how wonderful he was for the club. And then let's Diouf. Why don't we get Diouf in?
El Hadj Diouf.
Sell Raphinha, sack Bielsa, and bring in Diouf and Warnock is what I'm hearing from you here.
Old school vibes, good times.
Bring them both back. Get Tongy and Brownie back as well.
Why don't we get rid of Diego Llorente and bring in Jason Pearce while we're at it?
I think Jagielka's still knocking about as well.
Oh, no. If we're bringing Warnock back, we've got to bring Tom Lees back, haven't we, surely, so he's got someone to blame. Yeah, he won't take the job otherwise.
Anyway, we have gone off on a tangent there because, as usual, Phil has taken us off on a tangent. You were the one mentioning Warnock and all this lot.
No, I didn't bring up El Hadj Diouf. I just defended that I liked him.
Your fault, Phil.
Phil's fault. The El Hadj Diouf thing. What are you doing?
Blame Phil Miles. That's what I'm thinking. But
type.
But I mean, Lucy, I still think it's going to be quite one of them games where a bit like almost like a championship game for us, where both teams might have chances, but I just think both are just so unclinical at this moment in time that it could well be like another late winner, a bit like Sheffield United game, earlier in the season, the Patrick Bamford 1-0, a couple of 1-0 wins earlier in the season. I mean, I can see it being pretty tight, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really hard to predict because, I was on the show on Tuesday and we were doing predictions, and I just can't decide how it's going to go. I think eventually went for a 2-0 win because I think with the run of form that we're in, I think we're just full of confidence, aren't we? We're safe now. We're just going to enjoy the rest of the season. But you can just see Ben White coming out and having an absolute blinder, can't you? But yeah, I do feel confident we're going to take all 3 points. But again, whether it's going to be a late winner, I just don't know because I'd just love to see Bamford back on the score sheet. I think, he's needed one these past couple of games. And I think once he scores one, he's going to go on a run of bagging a few. But I just don't know. I'm really unsure how it's going to go, to be honest.
I think if Raphinha was there, I'll be honest, I think we'd win this pretty comfortably. I think this would be one of our more comfortable games because you've got that real difference maker in the final third. You know you're going to create. You know they're going to press a little bit less because they're worried about Raphinha in behind. I just feel that with Harrison as well, is that almost when teams are looking at us, they're thinking, right, when Raphinha and Harrison are on the pitch, they can't just focus on one player because if you focus on one player, double up on him, we'll just move the ball over to the other side of the pitch and create down the other side or switch wingers. I think with Harrison, the drop-off from Harrison to Costa and Poveda is big. I know they work hard, Costa works hard, etc., but the drop-off is pretty big, I think, in terms of end products and quality. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Phil. And I just think that's affected Harrison as much as anything because teams can double. I think I noticed even the Man United game that, McTominay was coming across, Wan-Bissaka was there. They knew that Harrison was kind of like the main threat, putting balls into the box, trying to find Bamford on the near post. A bit like Liverpool as well, they kind of protected Trent against Harrison. And I think it's been difficult for Harrison in terms of finding that space because he is kind of like the only big threat who can really, aside from Bamford in that final third for me at this moment in time.
I think when you look back over Bielsa's 3 years at Leeds United, you would struggle to pin down one person that shouldered more responsibility than Jack Harrison. I think you've got Ayling in there, Cooper in there, Bamford in there, and Dallas to an extent. But when it comes to the amount of responsibility put on one individual, that entire left side, again, my missus is here, not trying to dig out Alioski. And I'm not, even when Dallas has played left back, not trying to dig out Dallas, but I think Harrison does two people's jobs on that side. He defends. When you're on the right wing, if you're Raphinha, you've got Luke Ayling behind you. He is a natural right back that can actually defend. He can play right back and centre back. No left back we have at this club can actually play left back, let alone centre back. So I think Harrison does a lot more defensive work. He does a lot more defending from the front than the person on the right side does, because he is our best presser of the ball. Bamford's probably second. Those two, if we're going to press with a front two, I think the dilemma Bielsa has is that Harrison's such a good presser that do you actually put Harrison as that second attacking player and bang Roberts on a wing? It's a dilemma that Jackie and his natural attributes create. Whereas I don't think when you've got someone else on the other side that they do that. So I think with Harrison, he's really, really important, and it shows in the numbers that he posts, not just with his pressing, but goals and assists as well over the last 3 seasons. He's posted far more than Costa has, or Hernandez when he played there as well. So I think he's really important, and if he has an off game, you can tell. You can tell with what we produce. So he's very important to us.
I just think it's a special. I think I could go the same with Bamford as well, really. I think that whole front three at the start of the season, or even up to like the last international break, up to that Fulham game, I'd probably go as far as that and say they were winning those games. Whenever we won the game, it'd be because of Bamford, Raphinha, or Harrison. They'd be the difference makers in the game. It wasn't a case of the goals were coming from other parts of the pitch. I just think right now, certainly Bamford and Harrison, they're a little bit off it. That's all I'm going to say. They're a little bit off it, in terms of they're not getting the goals they were at the start of the season. Raphinha's out. I just think the problem, or slight problem, has been a little bit exacerbated by just circumstance. If you'd agree with that, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I can't argue that, mate. I think what I will say about Bamford is the last few games, he also hasn't had a lot of chances either. Whereas we used to berate Paddy in the Championship years because he'd need 53 chances to bag one. He's not even getting the chances at the minute. But that doesn't mean to say that he's doing anything different. If you watch him off the ball, he's still making the runs. He's still getting in the right places. The ball's just not finding him at the minute. I am predicting that he'll bag one tomorrow, I think, like Lucy said, and then he'll go on a run to the end of the season. I think he's been long enough without a goal now. I think he'll be itching for one tomorrow. And as long as it goes in off some part of his body that it's allowed, then it doesn't matter. And I also predict Jack to have a good game. And I'm just going to echo what Phil said without repeating it about Jack, about his work rate and everything else, because I 100%, he's one of my favourite players for the team, and a lot of it's the work he does without the ball. And that's why I think with those rumours around that new winger circulating quite heavily at the minute, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a Jack Harrison stepping backwards a position and going in at left back. I think he'd be a very good left back.
Well, funny you should mention that, Chris. I mean, I won't reveal too much, but one of my mates did used to work at City as a translator for Benjamin Mendy and Edison. Long story how he got that gig. Lucky man getting that gig, to be fair. But he said that he got quite close with some of the City coaching staff. And honestly, this is totally true. But City, when we first came to us that first season, said a lot about they were going to try and convert him to a left back. When they saw him in New York, out in the States, they always saw him as more of a left back than a left winger. They thought he had the athleticism to get up and down the pitch. He had that defensive instinct about him, and he had a good, lovely delivery. So it could well happen, mate. I mean, we've seen it happen with Alioski. We've seen it happen with Dallas. We forget Shuey Dallas, before Bielsa arrived, was a winger. He arrived at Leeds as a winger. He's played most of his career as a winger. It's unthinkable now when you look at, obviously, what we've got out wide and how different they are to Shuey Dallas. But it really wouldn't surprise me at all.
Mate, is Jack can be everything that Ayling does on the right-hand side with Raphinha, the overlaps, giving that Raphinha the room to come in. Jack can do exactly the same on the left-hand side with if we brought in another winger up ahead of him. He's got the energy, he's got the work rate, he's got everything, and he has got the delivery. So it's just something I've seen, mate. So, like you say, it's stuff other people have said as well. I could see it happening. I don't know, but maybe it's another option around the recruitment in the summer.
Apologies, guys. I think I had this a little bit close today. Apparently, you can hear me breathing. So, apologies for that, guys. So, I'm going to move that back a bit. Jack Harrison, left back. Jack Harrison, left back. I mean, Lucy, could you see that happening with Jack Harrison potentially in the future?
Yeah, possibly. But again, it depends on how recruitment goes in the summer as to what who we decide to bring in. Like you say, he does a very good job defensively, so it could potentially happen. God.
That was the...
Oscar, please whisper something about Cock now. Please.
Better not, actually.
He's a fantastic centre half.
Fantastic. Phil Miles doesn't know. Honestly, when Robin Koch does get that goal for Leeds, you will never hear the end of it from me, Phil. You'll never hear the end of it.
I think I'm going to take a 6-month social media blackout at that point while you just bang on about Robin Koch for 6 months.
It's not. I won't even go on about it. I'm just going on about it when we're in the presence of Phil because I know how much Phil doesn't rate him, so we can do that. This is a decent nickname, Jack Alexander. No, the last bit more.
That is awful.
All right, Phil. You try and do better, mate.
Well, we've got Jackie Haradonna. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but if he goes to the left back,
no, he can go in net, and he's still Jackie Haradonna.
Jackie Haradonna
keeps that.
We don't need that one. That's okay. Surely, if you're going to go left back, wouldn't you go like Trent's a right back? Wouldn't you go like Roberto Carlos or someone like that and just try and squeeze his name in there or something? Think of a left back with Jack in it.
Anyway, right, we're going again as usual. Phil takes us off course as he always does.
It's always me.
Always you. You used to do a Balotelli and hold that shirt. Why always me?
I'm gonna start wearing one every week.
Dear me.
I'm gonna wear one on alternate days, saying "always my fault." The next day, Oscar loves cock, and just alternate them between shows. See which one just comes out.
Listen, right, you're calling about me with Robin Koch. I mean, the amount of love I've given for Llorente the last sort of 6 to 7 weeks.
Doesn't sound as funny, does it?
All right. All right. Dear me. You just want to have a joke at my expense, don't you?
Did you see Robin Koch's comment about his first murder ball session when he said he just stood there and thought, what the am I doing here?
I think Bamford said to him, I still think that now, mate, so it's fine.
Oh, dude! But if I could just imagine any player who's just not done their research and just turning up and thinking, "What the?"
It was his second day, mate, and the only word Bielsa had said to him up until that point was "welcome."
Mate, that's a lot better than some other players have got. Have you read his books? They're genuinely very entertaining.
Well, to be fair, I was reading his book about Argentina. To be fair, Bielsa always had a scrap with one of his players for Argentina in that lot. He offered him out in that lot, but interesting stuff. But
there's one good story about when he went from, I think it was, he started obviously Rosario Central and he ended up at like Vélez Sarsfield or someone, and he bought one of the players that he'd had at his previous club. Actually, it was when he went to Mexico. And he bought one of the players he'd had in Argentina, took them to Mexico, and he rang them and was like, we've just put an offer in for you at this amount of money. I want you to know that you are not worth this amount of money. I'm not going to buy you. A day later, the player signs, sits him down in his office. Welcome to the club. Just want to reiterate, you're not worth the money that we paid for you. But, here you are. You can try and prove it now. And I was just like, only Bielsa can say that and you'll still work your ass off to prove him wrong. It's just a genius.
It partly explains why I guess Bielsa hasn't taken a job at like a top 6 Premier League club or a Barcelona or a Real Madrid. Yeah, say to Neymar, 200 million, you're worth 10 kind of thing. You can't do that. it has to be a certain calibre of player for me, and that's why Victor Orta is an important part of it as well. He's the in between, isn't he? He knows what players Bielsa can work with, which ones he can't work with, and he identifies that early. I mean, we've not signed a player yet who's caused problems behind the scenes. All right, actually, yes, we have actually Kiko Garcia, but that's a different kind of matter. That's a different matter. I mean, in terms of causing
problems behind the scenes, I think
on the training ground. Yeah, okay, on the training ground in terms of not being focused, complaining, and that lot. Orta's not made the signing like that because I think they're so important as a pair, really. Bielsa and Orta in terms of working together. But let's go back onto the game anyway. We've been talking about just like general stuff now, like the last 20 minutes. But let's go back onto the game. Do you see a case, Phil? Obviously, we're seeing the under-23s have had an excellent season again. We saw Somerville on the bench, Gelhardt on the bench in recent weeks. Do you see any case now, as the season sort of comes to an end, where we could see one of these players step off the bench in a game like this? Especially when there's so many players out as well.
He's already said, though, hasn't he, in press conferences, he really doesn't care about this whole play the kids vibe. And, I mean, I love Bielsa. It's one of the things I actually would change about him. I think towards the end of the season, I understand why he doesn't. He wants to get the maximum amount of points. He wants to honour the integrity of the competition. I understand all of his grounds for it. But for me, at this time of the season, we're safe. I mean, Joe will probably hammer me for saying this. We're not getting Europe. So let's see a Gelhardt get a couple of minutes. Let's see Greenwood. Let's see.
But you say that, Phil. You say that. I mean, I do agree now because Raphinha looks like Raphinha's not going to play much towards the end of this season. I think that's the biggest. If Raphinha was still available, I'd be having a go at you now, not just Joe Wayman. Joe Salisi worries if you're saying it while Raphinha's in the team. But if we win tomorrow, Tottenham drop points against Sheffield United again.
There
you go. You said it yourself.
Then we have to. Look, I obviously, I do the Lad and Dad podcast. I do the stats for them as well. I did my bangers for them. And then the one that I'm going to recycle here is the unbeaten run thing. If we don't lose, it would be 7 games unbeaten. The last time we did that, we were actually on a 13-game unbeaten run at the start of 01-02. And we were undefeated until mid-November. And even when we lost that game to Sunderland that ended the run, we were still 2 points clear of United, who had won 3 Premier League titles. Leeds United going on a run like that, we would have to, for me...
Did you just refer to them as United as well?
Oh.
You did, didn't you?
Probably, yeah. But anyway, scum, fine. Anyway, back to the pot. Leeds United would have to go... What if we got 5 games? I think we'd have to not lose any of them if we're going to get into Europe. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. I mean, Lucy, I think Phil's been a little bit negative there. I still think I just think because the teams above us are so inconsistent. They are so inconsistent. I think if you look at the table since the new year, we're 5th. We're actually 5th on the form table since the new year, I believe. So I still think there's a possibility. I still think we can put a couple of wins together. We can still do it.
Yeah, when you look at obviously the fixtures we've got coming up, I think they're all winnable games. And then obviously you look at them above us, and like you say, they're not very consistent with the results. But I look at the table at the minute. There's a little bit of a gap between us and Everton, and I think they're the ones that we need to be catching if we have got any chance. But I think the way that Spurs are going, I think we've got every opportunity to finish above them as well. I just think they're absolutely dire, to be honest.
100% Eric.
Yeah.
I love that. Totally Eric. They are really poor. They are really poor. I mean, Chris, have you given up hope of Europe or?
No.
Yes. See, Phil. See,
and I feel also
I've given up. I've just been realistic.
Yeah, it's done.
It's unfair as well. Joe's not here this weekend, and someone's got to strike up the band, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? Someone's got to be there striking the band up. But no, I was chatting to Joe the other night as well, and I think Vic's actually just said it as well. The next 2 are massive. If we beat Brighton and then beat Spurs, it is bang on then. We've got to. I think don't get maximum out the next 2, and then I'd probably be going, yeah, we're just going to fall short this season. But for me at the minute, mate, 7th is still very much a possibility.
I'm not ruling it out.
That.
I haven't at any point ruled it out. I just think it's a big ask. I think the next 2 games are the 2 that I'd say.
Well, it's a big ask. We are going to have to put a run.
Yeah.
No matter what the teams above us do, we are going to have to put a run.
I think we've got to remain unbeaten if we're going to do it. And I think the next 2 games are the hardest. I think Southampton and West Brom, I think they're rollovers, to be honest. Both teams have got nothing left to play for. West Brom can pretend they're trying to stay up, they're not, they're down. And we've already beaten them 5-0. We've beaten Southampton 3-0. I think they're the teams that we could go and get results and actually hammer them. But Brighton tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I expect.
Who's the other one, Phil? Burnley, because I think Burnley are a danger.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Always Burnley, isn't it? Always Burnley.
Yeah. You know, we're playing them on a Tuesday
don't want to play Burnley when you need a result as well.
Mate, we're playing Burnley at Turf Moor on a Tuesday night.
Yeah,
and it'll be raining. You can guarantee. Be 30-degree heat for the whole of May, and it'll rain on that night against Burnley and be blowing a gale. You know it. We all know it.
So that game and then these 2 that are coming next, I think to go unbeaten through those 3, then yeah, by all means, we'll win the last 2 games then.
I think being just to pick up points going through the chat, if the season finished now, we've had an incredible season for a first season back. It's just nice to get a little bit carried away in it and get a bit excited. We need something to still be pumping for. We were going for championships the last 2 seasons. We need something to be aiming for. We know we're not going to be on the beach like some other teams already are because Bielsa won't have that. So there's every chance.
No, I mean, if we lose our next 5 games, we're not. I don't think we're going to. But even if we lost our next 5 games, it'll still be a really good season. Yeah. It's still points wise.
We'll still keep going till the end of the season. That's what Bielsa guarantees. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep picking up points here and there. I honestly expect us to beat the 54 points that Sheffield United got last season. I'd like to see us beat the 56 points that would make us the best Premier League newly promoted side in Premier League history. I'd like to do that as well. As long as we can get points-wise, what I think we ought to do ourselves justice and keep ourselves in credit. I don't really care which position we finish in. I'd take 9th at the moment. I'd love to finish above Arsenal and Villa, though. That would be satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't finish above Arsenal, though, questions have to be asked. Questions have to be asked. We don't finish above Arsenal. Come on, Phil. Surely, we've got to be looking to. We've got to be looking to finish top half, haven't we?
Yeah.
Now, with what we've done over the season, we've got to at least get that reward.
Yeah. Definitely, I think we deserve it. I think from what we've done so far this season in comparison to when you look at the teams behind us, I don't think Wolves or anyone below Aston Villa, really, I don't think they could catch us. I think the only teams that could possibly move above us now are the likes of Villa and Arsenal, and it'd just be really satisfying to not let them.
The other thing is as well, isn't it, about finishing as high up as possible, it's cash.
Yeah.
The more cash into the club, you know, it might make all the difference when having a bid on a player. It might be that extra couple of million that we need to get a transfer over the line. You never know. An
Argentinian player?
Potentially.
That plays in Serie A?
Potentially, yeah.
Never heard of him.
Who I already love, and he's nowhere near the club at the minute, but I'll be heartbroken if we don't see RDP in the summer.
We've all already pre-ordered the shirts as well. They better be signing. He's
got a tab waiting for him in the free legs. I've heard. To be fair, that's twice it mentioned that today, isn't it? To be fair, I'll stop mentioning it anyway.
Oscar, but did you check your WhatsApp this week, mate? Because you never respond to my messages. But
my phone's gone, mate. My phone, I can't charge it up.
Mate. So I've got a story for you all. Anyway, I'm not going to say where I work, but I work somewhere where there's football, and I got to take videos. So 2 guys walked in, Angus Kinnear and Victor Orta, and they had a 5-a-side game with all the people that work in the shop, the people that are physio, stuff like that, and they were against each other. So I got to take videos of the 2, and apparently they're coming back every week. So I'm going to try and gradually grow some balls because I tried to take their order and got their order wrong and was just a crumbling mess. But I'm going to try and grow some balls, and just like next week when Victor orders a Corona, I'm just going to slip underneath the Corona Rodrigo de Paul.
Subliminal messaging, mate. Just constantly doing it.
Yeah, that's my plan. But yeah, do you not see the videos? I got glared at hard by Victor Orta. He was not happy with me at all. Angus told me to take some videos, and if he scored, I had to put it online. And Victor had just let a goal in. My camera had gone off anyway, so I hadn't filmed it. But he looked at me as if to say, "If you put that on there, I will find you and I will kill you." I was terrified, mate. He's a very scary man, you know.
He's got a particular set of skills, mate, without doubt.
Yeah, mate. Very scary.
So if Phil doesn't get throttled by Victor Orta next week, he will still be on the Leeds TV. That is, if anything does happen to Phil, there is, it's here now. You know what will have happened. But guys, we're almost approaching 7:00. Let's get some predictions in. I'm going to go 1-0 Leeds. I'm going to go 1-0 Leeds on this one. Phil, what are you saying, mate?
I wanted to say 1-0 Leeds, but now you've said it. I feel like I have
Just
to
say
go
1-0 Leeds.
I think there's going to be no more than a goal in it, and I think we're going to win. So I'll say, I want the clean sheet.
You can still say 1-0 Leeds,
Yeah,
I'm not going to...
1-0 Leeds, Paddy Bamford.
Okay. I'll go Paddy as well. I'll go Paddy Bamford too. Lucy, what are you going for?
I think I'm going to stick with what I said on Tuesday night. I'm going to go 2-0 Leeds win. Yeah.
Okay, scorers?
Bamford and Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. Chris?
I am going 3-1 Leeds, and my scorers are Dallas, Bamford, and Tyler will get his first Premier League goal. And I will come on here and I will say, sign him up.
Can we swap Dallas out for Helder Costa if he's playing as well, just to round it all up?
Yeah, I'm still not sold on Costa. That's one that could still be out the door for me quite easily. But Tyler's winning me round slowly, mate. I'll credit where it's due. He's props to him. He stepped up recently. So I hope he gets a goal. I think he deserves one after the near misses of the last few weeks.
It's going to be interesting. I wonder what you're like on the watch along, mate. I wonder whether you're calm and reserved, or I'm thinking I'm going to be interested about that tomorrow when we're being Christian and watch along.
There'll be a post-it just here above my camera saying, "What's your language, lad?"
I'm gonna get on the post-match, and all I'm gonna know is Chris has said something very offensive about both Tyler Roberts and Helder Costa, and then he's going to come on and apologise.
The post-match will start with a public apology.
Yeah. It's usually reserved for me, so thanks.
I'm a feeling Mopay might be on that apology somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Mate, I swear, if he does score, I will just have to mute for a couple of minutes and gather my thoughts.
He does this celebration as well, It's just like, he knows it as well. But I've got a fair play to him, right? He knows what he can do. He knows he's a wind-up merchant, but he plays off it.
Yeah. He's just there, Alioski, mate. He's there, Alioski, and we love Gianni for what he does and how he likes to shithouse people. We just don't like Mope because he's done it to us, and that's the way it's football, innit?
It is. But anyway, guys, we will leave it there. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and smash a like if you haven't done already. And we'll be back live in an hour, actually, because we've got Before the Whistle Blows. And Hal, Sheffield United, they've actually won the game for Hal. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of mood he's in. So make sure you check it out, guys. Before the Whistle Blows, got a new guest as well on Before the Whistle Blows tonight. So check it out, guys. 8:00 we're starting. And then tomorrow, we've got our live lineup reaction from 2:00. Then we're going to work into the watch along at 2:45, and then your usual post-match content as well, including the live post-match, where if you are a Don level member, you can join us on that live post-match. Again, we've got a lot of Don level members, but only 2 or 3 if you turn up. Come on, guys. Come on. This is your opportunity. You want opportunity every single week. So come on to All ECV as a Don level member. You can join our post-match chat after the game. And of course, we'll have the player ratings as well. So keep it locked, guys. Smash that subscribe button. And big thanks to Phil, Lucy, and Chris. And we'll leave it there until tomorrow, 3:00, guys. We'll see you then. See you later, guys. Actually, I've messed it up. I just said, see you later, guys. I didn't even scroll down to the bottom. There's always something. Now we'll see you later, guys. See you later.